So Florida just dropped one of the biggest bombshells, one of the things that I've been waiting for a very long time, and I'm very proud to report to you that an appeals court in Florida has finally ruled that the state's decade-old ban on open carry is, wait for it, unconstitutional. Yes, the same Florida that just gave us permitless carry might now be the newest open carry state. So let's talk about what happened, why it matters, and why a guy walking around with a holster gun and a pocket constitution just changed the law for millions of Floridians. So here's the setup. You have a guy named Stanley Victor Daniels. He gets arrested in Pensacola, Florida. You might be asking yourself, what's his crime? Check this out. He had a valid concealed carry permit, but his gun that he was carrying was, oh my God, it was open. It was visible from his holster. And to top it off, he was holding a copy of the U.S. Constitution. You can't make this stuff up. Now, unfortunately, the state of Florida came and said, I'm sorry, bro, but that in itself is illegal because open carry is banned. And they convicted him, slapped him with probation and community service. But McDaniels didn't just roll over. He actually appealed. And now the First District Court of Appeal just wiped that conviction off the books and then called the ban for what it is: unconstitutional. So you might be asking yourself, why did the court nuke the law? Well, that's pretty simple, because the Second Amendment doesn't just say that you can keep arms, it says that you can bear arms. Bearing arms meaning that you can carry them. And historically, you didn't sneak around with a gun tucked under your shirt. People openly carried. That was the normal. Thankfully, these judges, they leaned heavily on the Supreme Court's Bruen decision, which said that you can't just make up modern safety excuses to ban guns. You have to show that kind of restriction existed in American history. And you know what? Florida could not do that. So the bottom line is this: banning open carry outright does not fly with the Constitution. Now, of course, the reaction has been spicy on both sides, because on one side you have Governor Ron DeSantis, who was practically fist pumping in the air. The Attorney General said, yeah, we're not defending unconstitutional laws. Gun rights groups are calling this a massive win. And on the flip side, you have anti-gun folks, they're literally freaking out. They're warning of Wild Wild West shootouts in a Publix parking lot. Law enforcement, some law enforcement, they're kind of worried that it might complicate their jobs. But let's be real, because criminals already ignore the law. This ruling only affects the law-abiding citizens. You and I. Real quick, let me tell you about attorneys on retainer, because if you carry a gun for self-defense and you ever find yourself being targeted by the government for simply exercising your Second Amendment rights, you're gonna want attorneys on retainer in your corner. Look, most of these so-called self-defense insurance programs have so many loopholes and so many exclusions that they are basically useless when you actually need them. But Attorneys on Retainer is backed by a real law firm, Attorneys for Freedom, and they don't play games. This isn't some type of insurance. It's actual legal representation by attorneys who specialize in self-defense cases. That's all they do. Now here's where it gets really good, because Attorneys on Retainer, they do not deny coverage for nonsense things like you were in a gun-free zone, your permit was expired, you had a illegal weapon, or you have a prohibited possessor status, or even if you had a drink earlier that night. Most companies would drop you in a heartbeat. AOR, they will not. And that's why I signed up with them, because when it really matters, I want people backing me up who won't hide behind fine print. Something that an insurance company would do, if you know what I mean. If this sounds like something that you need, or you just want to do a little bit more investigating, more looking into it, go ahead and use my link down below. And if you do sign up, use my promo code to get $25 off your membership. Guys, it's not a maybe. This is something that every responsible gun owner should have locked in. So you might be asking yourself, what does this mean? Can I just strap on a Glock and go shopping tomorrow? No, not exactly. You see, the ruling tossed McDaniels' conviction, but the state could still appeal to the Florida Supreme Court. Or you might have lawmakers step in to rewrite the law. And even if open carry stands, it's still not a free-for-all. The court said that the state can still set reasonable regulations. So yeah, don't expect to walk into a courthouse or your kid's school with a rifle slung under your shoulder. It's not going to happen. What's wild is that this doesn't just matter for Florida. It's part of a bigger wave, because after Bruen, Every gun law in America is being put under a microscope, and the courts, thankfully, keep siding with the Constitution. Now, Florida could go from a concealed only to an open carry is back on the menu. And you can bet states like California and New York are watching this very nervously, because once that first domino falls in our favor, there are others surely to follow as well. So here's where we are. We have a guy with a holstered pistol and a copy of the Constitution that just reminded Florida, and maybe the entire country, what the Second Amendment really means. But I'm curious to hear what you think. Do you think that this is a win for the Second Amendment? Is this a win for freedom? Or is Florida about to look like a John Wayne movie? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I appreciate y'all for watching this video, and remember, stay safe, stay trained, and stay free. Take care, y'all.